a guy by the name of Nigel Farage.
The amount of fabricated false information that your voters were given by the Leave campaign.
Say, yeah.
Well, I'm not as familiar with, but I'm very familiar with what the Leave side said, because they transported a lot of that on behalf of Trump. You had, Farage campaigning for Trump and the like. The big lie is a very potent tool.
Here to react, former UK Independence Party leader and Fox News contributor Nigel Farage. The big lie, Nigel, it was all you, it was all a lie, and it was all a conspiracy to defeat her.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm a terrible person. I'm an unacceptable human being, as she said. I was only sorry she didn't call me deplorable. I would have enjoyed that. Isn't it interesting? I mean, she's going around the UK selling her book at £20 a copy. Clearly, the Clintons haven't made enough money yet. And it's all about why she lost the election, and it would appear that Brexit, the phenomenon of Brexit, which spilled across to the USA, is the reason that she lost. And she's basically saying that I lied to the British electorate. And what she's doing here is not just defending her own position, but acting as the high priestess of the globalist movement. She wants to reverse Brexit. I tell you what, she's making a sad, sorry spectacle of herself.
Well, when she says the amount of fabricated false information, she wants to say hashtag fake news, but that belongs to the other guy.
Well, that's right, it does. And the honest truth is that if you look at her record and her husband's record, be it on NAFTA, be it on China, be it on many other trade deals, they consistently told the American people these deals would be good for America, and they turned out not to be. And remember that had Hillary become president, she wanted America to join, as she described it, a hemispheric common market. Hillary sees the European Union as a prototype for a bigger form of global government, so she hates Brexit, she hates me, and she thinks it gave Trump the edge.
How much relevance does she have now? She's traveling the world blaming, a lot of people say she's blaming everyone else that she lost the election. How much relevance does she have?
Oh, yeah, I mean, none of this is her fault. I mean, she can't recognise the fact that her own sense of entitlement is what put off so many American voters. I don't think she's hugely relevant unless she's deciding perhaps to have another tilt at the presidency. Now, she denies that in public, but if she's not doing it, why is she going around the world making these big political arguments that she wants everything that happened in 2016 to be reversed?
She also famously said that she wanted a borderless world. I mean, isn't she the one that sort of, in front of, rich audiences will speak their language of globalism, but then try to go to the voters and hide it? That strikes me as a lie.
Well, her husband was terribly good at that. I mean, Bill often appeared as a populist at elections, and yet when he was elected, governed as a globalist. And exactly the same thing would happen with Hillary. When she's with her friends on Wall Street and the multinationals, she sings a very different song. I have to say, it is a sorry sight to see somebody who is incapable of recognising their own deficiencies. She's deep in denial, and I just think she ought to recognise she lost, it's over, move on.
All right, his name is Nigel Farage, also known as the Big Liar, according to what we just heard. Nigel, thank you very much for joining us today from Melbourne.
He's very good at that debate thing. He joins us now out of Strasbourg, France. Nigel, very good to have you. Put these rumors to rest. Are you are you not helping Donald Trump?
I'm coming out this weekend for the second debate, and I'm coming out as a guest, I'm coming out as a commentator. But you know what? The advice I've got for Donald Trump, I don't need to give to him face to face. I can give it to you right now on this show. It's very simple. The Clinton team analysed that Trump is a proud man, proud of his achievements, proud of himself, and proud of his family. And that if you attack him on his record, if you try and tear to bits, his business empire and his past, he will defend himself. And my advice to Donald Trump is dead simple. Do not be accused of financial impropriety by the Clintons. Do not be told you're a misogynist by a woman whose Clinton Foundation has taken money from Saudi Arabia. Rise above. Just don't get involved in some sort of terrible catfight. Rise above it and tell the American people why you are the candidate for change.
But what you're saying is don't be on defense, be on offense. But part of getting on offense is to be clearly offended by the criticism that Hillary leveled at him. Now, how does he balance that between looking thin-skinned, as some said he did in that first debate, by focusing on every slight when he could have just, sloughed it off and zeroed in on the attack on her, as he did, by the way, in the first 20 or so minutes of that debate?
Oh, the first 20 minutes, I thought he was tremendous. I was hearing somebody standing to be American president who was talking a language I have not heard since Reagan. He was talking about cutting taxes. He was talking about giving people incentives. He was talking about the American dream, allowing people to get on. He was great in that first section. And then she very cleverly and very cynically, and with that horrible, smug expression on her face, went for him personally, and he sought to defend himself in front of the American public. And Donald, I'd say this to you, don't take abuse from a Clinton. Look at their track record in a whole raft of areas. Forget about her. Ignore the criticisms. Go out there. Connect with ordinary people. You've got some messages on tax cutting. You've got some messages on controlling borders and security in an age of terrorism that people really do want to hear.
Now, your definition of smug might be confident, but we'll leave that out aside and get your sense of how he responds on this tax thing. She has already pointed out that he bragged about being very smart, not having to pay so much in taxes, if any, if those indications are right. But you argue that he should turn it around and say you're a fine one to be talking about financial propriety. Is that the gist of it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's so typical of the Hillary hypocrisy, isn't it? She attacks Trump over his tax arrangements, knowing, of course, before the leak, funny how she knew beforehand, isn't it? But attacking him for what is a perfectly legal part of American tax law.
You think she had a heads up on those release forms? You think she had a heads up on those release forms?
I am absolutely certain of it. And come on, just look at what's happened since she made those claims. But now we know that the Clintons themselves in 2015 registered a capital gains loss, which they can carry over. And okay, there are 2 more noughts on the figure with Trump. He's a bigger financial player than the Clintons. But the fact is that all these things that Hillary accuses Trump of, she is guilty of herself. And I would say to Donald Trump, do not take moralizing lessons from the Clintons on money. Laugh her off. The American public will get it, and explain to them how. You want to help business. You want to help industry. You want to cut taxes. That you actually believe in America and are proud to be patriotic and will make it a safer country. Do those things. Rise above her jibes. Rise above, and I repeat it, her smug expression, and you will win this next debate.
All right, you do not seem to be a huge fan of Hillary Clinton, but we'll see. Maybe I missed something. But Nigel, bottom line, you are saying whatever advice you're offering, you just offered it right now, that you do not expect to be personally helping him with the debate.
Whether I do or whether I don't is irrelevant. I've just told you absolutely from my heart.
It's not irrelevant to me. Our viewers want to know. A lot of them really like you now. If it turns out one of the best debaters on the planet, and that's coming from people who like you, is he advising Donald Trump?
Listen, if they want my advice, I'm available. It's just as simple as that.
Because it set off alarms.
This election is simple.
All right.
Well, all over the place.
Sure.
But this election is now simple. Do you want things to carry on the same, or do you want change? And Trump represents change.
All right. Nigel, always good seeing you. Thank you very, very much. Nigel Farage, the man who made Brexit possible when everyone and every poll seemed to say it wasn't going to happen. And he'd say, thanks to that gentleman, it did.